Welcome back to Searchlight, folks. It's July 31st. Settle in. We've got 10 shows across 10 cities in 7 states today in 2 countries. Let's begin. There's only one place to start today. It's Connecticut. We've got 2 all-timers from 74 and 71. We'll go with the Dead's first performance in New Haven first, 1971, where Bill and Hillary Clinton were beginning their first semester at Yale Law School. And while they certainly look game, there's no evidence that either of them were at this show, but there is a good chance that their future law professor, Professor Charles Reich, was at the show, because Professor Charles Reich, along with Rolling Stone's Jan Warner, had just interviewed Garcia and Marin a few weeks before the show for a piece that would go on to be the cover of Rolling Stone's 100th issue, and a piece that would go on to be a book co-authored by Garcia, Reich, and Warner, and a book that we'll have to save for another episode, because today's show took place inside one of the most influential buildings in the history of Yale architecture. No, it wasn't designed by Saarinen or Kahn or Foster. It was Charles Ferry's Yale Bowl, the largest stadium in the world, when it opened its iconic tunnels to 71,000 spectators on November 21st, 1914, a scene that the Springfield Union described as the most wonderful ever witnessed in the Western Hemisphere. And what made it so wonderful? Well, like the great Greek amphitheaters and Roman Colosseums, the Yale Bowl's playing surface sits below grade, 27 feet below grade. And the soil that was excavated from the playing surface was used to create the bank seating, or the bowl, that surrounds the field, making it the first stadium in the United States to completely surround the playing surface, a design that would influence nearly every football stadium built afterwards. And this wasn't just a football stadium. This was a symbol of the university's commitment to a program that in 42 years of existence had yet to have a losing record, and a symbol of the university's commitment to a violent sport that was nearly outlawed until President Roosevelt, along with Walter Camp, saved it in 1905. And coincidentally, when the Yale Bowl was finished in 1914, another great structure was completed that wouldn't have happened without Teddy Roosevelt either: the Panama Canal. And here we are 100 years later with football violence and the Panama Canal sovereignty still making headlines. And here we are 55 years later, and this performance by the Grateful Dead still rocks. We've got the first ever Mr. Charlie. We've got the first ever Sugaree, which shouldn't come as a surprise considering that Garcia had been recording his self-titled album in the weeks leading up to this show. But what really stands out is this very rare first set Dark Star that features the Feelin Groovy thematic jam, a thematic jam that would migrate from Dark Star into the transition between China Rider. Let's have a listen to this Feelin Groovy jam. Real quick, folks, and we'll get back to the video. If you're enjoying what we do here at Searchlight and you want to support us, you can, of course, subscribe, but also become a Patreon for as little as $5 a month by scanning this QR code or using the link in the description. It will give you access to our exclusive Sunday Patreon shows. Back to the video. Okay, let's go about 45 minutes north to Hartford, 1974 Dillon Stadium, a monster of a show. And we're not just talking about the wall of sound here. This is 3 sets of music that was released as Dave's Picks Volume 2 in 2012. You've got a very rare Scarlet Begonias opener, a truckin' that really gets out there. You've got a Sea Stones. But what really piqued our interest, and it's for a specific reason, is this To Lay Me Down. It's a fantastic performance, but it's a great example of the band and the sound system, which is arguably the 8th member of the band at this point, their dynamic range. Let's listen as Garcia's solo leads the band into the higher decibel levels and then lands softly and quietly as they return to the verse.
To lie with you
Let's go just outside of Austin, Manor Downs, 1982. And you know, we've spent most of the summer excited about that rare July 3rd, 1966 release, and rightfully so. It's a fantastic show, a great tape by Bear, but this chart really puts things in perspective. You know, 1982 has less than half the official releases as 1966, and this is one of them. So if you were considering bypassing 82 today, we would ask you to please reconsider. It's got a nice bird song and Eyes of the World that clocks in around 126 beats per minute, fairly slow for the 80s, but what really gets us excited is this Scarlet Fire, specifically the transition into Fire on the Mountain, where Brent, who is perfectly balanced in the mix, for a moment sounds almost like he's scratching vinyl on a turntable, and it works really well. Let's have a listen. Speaking of fantastic keyboard work, let's go up to the Palace in Auburn Hills, 1994, for a show that Terrapin Landing describes as an incredible night for Vince. We agree, it looks like Half a Day does as well. Before we get to Vince's playing a couple of notes here, we always get excited for a Spanish jam. This one is fairly loose, and we believe this is the third to last midnight hour ever played to close the first set. Beware of MIDI. But what we'd like to sample is Vince's playing here on this standalone spoonful in the first set. Let's have a listen. Okay, we're already this close to the border. Let's go to the O'Keefe Center, Toronto, 1967, where Bill Graham presented 5 nights of the San Francisco scene, The Airplane, The Grateful Dead, and Luke and the Apostles. No tape from the show, but we do have a review from the Globe and Mail that described the Dead as simian and their time on stage as noise. Not volume or intensity, but noise. I guess we'll have to take their word for it. Now, let's pick back up with the Dead in 1973, the mega Dead era. Remember, we just left Watkins Glen with 600,000 people on the 28th. Now we're back with the band at Roosevelt Stadium, about 20,000 people here each day. Night 2 is certainly more celebrated from this run, but that's probably due to the lack of soundboard that we have from the first night. However, legendary taper and Relics magazine co-founder Jerry Moore was there to capture it all with his AKG 1000 microphone, a nice case study for our loyal viewer, Ambient Taper. We'll get to that another time. Now, we do want to give Jerry the attention that he deserves on a separate episode, but for viewers who are not aware, it was Jerry's tape before the vault was accessible as it is today. It was Jerry's tape of the Cornell show that circulated among fans and really helped build the lore around it. Let's have a listen to some of Jerry's recording work here on that AKG 1000 at Roosevelt Stadium. They love each other. Let's go to the West Coast, where we will remain for the remainder of the day. 1988, the last show at Laguna Seca Raceway. Monterey had finally had enough after apparently Deadheads began camping inside of the U.S. Army base Fort Ord. According to spokesperson James Davis, they actually set up campsites within an active shelling range that contained unexploded shells and other dangerous items. Now, we don't want to speak for anybody, but maybe they were just desensitized from too many shows in the fill zone. Now, we originally wanted to play West LA Fade Away or Little Red Rooster featuring David Hidalgo, but we couldn't pass up a chance to expose more casual listeners to the rarely played only twice Barlow-Mydland collaboration, Gentlemen Start Your Engines. Rather prophetic lyrics here. Let's have a listen. Before we go down to Ventura, let's quickly touch on a show in San Anselmo, the Lion's Share 1970, where according to Jerry's Broke Down Palace, is a similar deal that we saw at the Family Dog on the 28th from 1970. The Dead sitting in with the New Riders of the Purple Sage, playing a few acoustic songs. Again, these are the murky waters of the second half of 1970, where documentation is increasingly scarce. Now, let's go to Ventura. 1983, the Dead returns to the county fairgrounds there for the second year in a row, and according to Jack Straw, 68, Ventura still wasn't ready for the Deadheads. And despite what Phantom 203 has to say about the show, we find it rather enjoyable. We like this West LA fadeaway, and it's tough to tell where the space ends and the other one begins in the second set, which is exactly how we like it. Let's have a listen to Phil launching the band into the other one, and really another great example of the group's dynamic range. Let's finish the 31st in Vancouver, 1966, the Trips Festival, a run of 3 shows that were the Dead's first outside of the country. This is night 3 of 3, and the Grateful Dead guide tells us that the reel from today could be February of 26, it could be the second set from the 30th, or it could be the 31st. Either way, we don't need an excuse to play some Primitive Dead covering the Willie Cobb number, You Don't Love Me. Let's take a listen.
Don't you know I hate to see you go?
Okay, that does it for July 31st. 10 shows across 10 cities and 7 states and 2 countries today. Thank you again for joining us here on Friday, July 31st. Especially thank you to our Patreons who support the work that we do here. If you have the means and would like to support us and get access to our Sunday shows, you can scan the QR code here or use the link in the description to become a Searchlight Patreon. We will see our Patreons on Sunday, August 2nd.